Hey guys, a very overheated TJ here, just giving you an extra bonus story ahead of the season premiere. Why am I giving you a bonus story? Well, I have a new booth and I really wanted to try it out, so let me know how the audio quality sounds. And to be truthful, I needed a little bit more time to cook on the season premiere. We are just finishing up our 6th heat wave here in the UK. It's been the hottest day of the year, which makes editing very, very challenging. So I'm going to be doing a little bit extra on there. In the meantime, I hope you don't mind a little bit more of a wait, but I hope you enjoy this really, really gritty story. If you don't like body horror, this is not for you. I do recommend you skip. Otherwise, this is a phenomenal tale. Thank you so much for understanding, and I'll talk to you guys soon. I am so hungry. Every day on the farm. Can I even call it a farm anymore? All the livestock is long dead. Livestock. Why did they call it that? Wouldn't it be more appropriate to call them meat stock or meal stock? I'll never understand the human race's affinity for elaborate names. Just call the damn spade a spade. Not a Hybenthus in Neospermus. Come to think of it, I don't think I know what animals are considered livestock. Mama used to show me pictures of what she called chickens when I was little. She told me they used to wreak havoc all over our farm before they died out. An ache forms behind my eyes as I try and fail to visualize the animal's features. Speckled leather skin, perhaps? I sigh to myself opening the cabinets, hoping for a different outcome than the one I'll receive. Dust and suspicious crumbs grumble at my intrusion. Wait, or was that my stomach? A pang of pain plucks at the strings of my stomach, making me slam the cabinet shut. My head knocks against the wood as if I can tap the pain away. I can't remember the last time I ate a substantial meal. A week, perhaps? Time is irrelevant now as my days are an amalgamation of the same tasks. Wake up, hungry. Drink water, hungry. Check the dead and overgrown garden whilst wishing for rain. Still hungry. Till the weeds until I can't take the prick of the thorns. Double over from the pain of still being hungry. Visit the drying creek, dreading what I'll find and feeling relief when I see the water still flowing. Fill my bucket to the top off the rainwater reserves while I gnaw on plants I can't remember are edible or not. Decide if I'll visit Mama. Sleep. When the extinction event was full steam ahead, Mama would play grocery store with me to pass the time. Even now, I have a hard time imagining the endless aisles of nourishment she described. Miles of meat behind tempered glass, served to you by a burly man covered in intestinal secretions and sweat. An aisle dedicated to a specific food group called cereal. Mama had a knack for grumbling about missing the convenience of just grabbing a bowl of Raisin Bran. She even claimed some of the packaged goodness held prizes within. I was never one for toys, aside from my stuffed doll named Princess Marigold. The idea of a toy coming from a box of food was as appetizing as chewing chalk. Maybe I'd feel differently if the circumstances of the world were altered. If I was just a normal boy attending university like Mama. If the world hadn't eaten all the meat. I curl in on myself as hunger seizes my lower extremities. I gasp. How much longer can I go? I haven't visited Mama in a while. My mind supplies. I bat the thought away. I don't want to take from her again. She's already given me so much after my parents passed. I limp across the kitchen to a bookcase leaning against the entry wall. I reach for the only book I own, its spine pristine despite being decades old. Mama's recipe book. It's a little crazy to read a cookbook when you are already starving, I know. But the act is comforting and makes me forget the pain, just for a little bit. The old pages snicker with each turn, their delicate thin faces filled with things I'll never have the opportunity to try. Flipping to my favorite, I scan the ingredient list and sigh, reading out loud. Keep your meat refrigerator until use. When ready, mince meat and add egg, Dijon, olive oil, shallots, parsley, chives, Tabasco, salt, pepper, and capers to your minced meat. Serve with a thick toast. When I flip the card over, a fading diagram of Mima's choice meat is displayed from end to end, a now light pink circle indicating the best cut of meat for the dish. The edges of the recipe fray in my mind as I tuck it to my chest. My mouth fills with saliva, a few droplets dribbling out and down my chin. I asked Mama what parsley was, and she called it a... Damn, I can't remember the word. My hunger ebbs as I concentrate on remembering what the parsley was to Mama. My mind offers blank walls as an answer. However, what I do remember is how she described it and my revulsion. I shake my head at the thought now. I still can't fathom adding the equivalent of grass to flavor my meals. Mama would roll her eyes when I called it grass. But that's what she described, so what else was I to call it? Nothing will be better than the taste of meat as it slides across your taste buds. At least, that's what Mama would say. I'm hammering shingles onto the barn roof when the axis of my world shifts. The sun beats into my back, a burn curdling on my exposed skin. I stopped sweating about an hour ago, but water will have to wait. Excitement zings in every hit of my hammer. The air smells like thunderclouds, my hair shrinking into waves the longer I slam my mallet into the scavenged wood. I know what you must be thinking. Why repair a barn when there are no animals to fill the stalls? Because Mama's ancient farm equipment needs shelter from rusting. And I may or may not have procrastinated on the task that she begged me to complete. Besides, one day I hope to fill the wooden cages with game. One day. My spine screams from holding the same position for hours. Like the edges of a new book, I crack my spine as I straighten, setting the mallet down. My hips swivel as I attempt to stretch before finishing for the day when the mallet skids past my boot. A string of curses buzz in the air, my feet launching myself towards the falling tool. I am in no mood to climb the ladder twice more before the day is over. In my rush, my feet tangle on my untied laces. A surprised yelp leaves my lips as I crash against the roof hard and slide. I don't have time to think before I'm airborne. In my next blink, my body slams into the ground below. Stars shoot across my vision and I pant into the grass. I'm not sure how long I sit there, but long enough to feel the first few droplets of the storm. I've heard myself plenty of times on the farm. However, never like this. Fear spikes in my chest. Mama isn't available to help nurse me back to health. Resigning to finally assess the damage, I shift into a sitting position, but regret it immediately. Fire licks up my arm and I howl, falling to my back, my right arm wrapping protectively around my left. My wrist dangles like a limp fish on a hook. However, my concern isn't my hand, but the bright white bone with tendrils of gristle sticking out of my skin. I should have just climbed the ladder twice. The storm was pounding against the metal siding of the house by the time I made it inside. Exhaustion held me in a stagnant puddle in the entryway. Water slides between the cracks of decade-old wood, expanding and likely sprouting mold spores with every breath. My arm stings, but at least the site where my bone penetrated stopped bleeding. Means my sloppy belt tourniquet worked. Stupid. So very, very stupid. I want to drown on the floor in self-pity. Instead, I push myself up with my right hand, getting to my feet. My mind bounces around, trying to remember everything Mama taught me about wound care. I open cabinets in the kitchen until I find what I'm looking for. I gather the items, moving to the sink and laying my injured arm in the basin. Taking a few stabilizing breaths, I yank the stopper off the vinegar bottle with my teeth and pour it over my break. The edges of the wound sizzle and curdle while I tap dance from the sting. Just breathe. In and out. In and out. A tear skitters down my cheek, but I ignore it. No time for crying, as Mima would say. It's time for working. I pour the liquid on the wound over and over again, this time without tears or dance. I dab the edges of the protruding bone with a strip of cloth, careful not to jostle the severed end. I pause to take another series of intakes before reaching for the jar I found in the cupboard. Mama's prized honey. Well, she claimed it was prized. Best honey in 2 counties and won numerous blue ribbons, she'd say. I tuck the jar under my armpit to use my good hand to open it. It takes a few tries, but I get it open. I made sure to grab the wooden spindle dipper from the utensil drawer as well. Mama would tan my hide and hang me out to dry if she knew I was using anything other than her oiled wood dipper on her honey. The thought of my grandmother sets my jaw with determination for this next part. I can do this. Keep your hands steady. Quick, easy strokes. Wrap and stabilize it. With a quick dunk into the jar, I drizzle honey along the edges of the wound. The work is messy. Patches of honey cling to the edge of the skin and fine hairs on my arm. Droplets patter onto the top of my weathered boots, which are still untied. But I keep working, wringing the liquid gold around the edge of my bone at least 6 to 8 times. Can't be too careful, I tell myself. Light tin taps of rain serenade me as I finish wrapping my arm and head to bed. I fall to sleep almost immediately, the strength finally leaving my frame. The skin around my wound itches. Not terribly, but it's there. A constant tickling thrum as I clean up my mess from last night. I try not to think about it, focusing on scrubbing the sticky trails off the faces of the cabinet. All my daily chores take longer, but I relish each task. The distraction soothes the tiny voice in the back of my mind, urging me to rake my nails over my wound. A few times I accidentally bump my injury, resulting in lightning pain to strike my body to the floor. By 5 p.m., I'm exhausted from working double. My right arm pulses from the extra work. No doubt it'll be sore by the time I go to bed. I'm prone on the old family couch, its saggy cushions feeling more like lumpy potatoes than support. My arms rest crossed over my forehead, the sound of the evening filtering in through the windows. As the crickets begin to sing, a gentle breeze enters the living room. The evening air travels up my body, invisible tendrils pushing my bangs from my face. Metallic sweetness invades my nose, my stomach clenching from the intoxicating aroma. My body lifts from the couch in a trance, my eyes scanning the dust for any sign of the source of the smell. But nothing sticks out. I scratch my head, thinking it was a phantom scent when I catch another whiff. Is that? My thought trails off as I raise my left arm to my nose and inhale. A symphony of aromatic ambrosia assaults my nostrils, stunning me to my knees. With trembling fingers, I untie the dressing to reveal my injury. The sight glistens in the evening light. I pull the wound back to my face and sniff. A wave of saliva crashes against my tongue, foam leaking from my lips. A morsel of cartilage coated in honey clings to the underside of my bone. At the sight of it, my stomach winces. I've only had Mama's specialty jerky, never real meat. The shriveled berries I found in the garden today were not enough to tide me over. I don't think. I carefully peel the muscle piece off the bone and pop it in my mouth. Flavor erupts from the tiny scrap. Sweet mixed with a metallic tang rolls along my taste buds. I want to savor it, but too soon I'm swallowing it down, desperate for more. Orange halogen flickers like a specter above my head, casting my wound in sickly light. My eyes squint at the picture in Mama's book. Before the world's food supplies died off, Mama was something called a nurse. Piles of books filled with a person's body, both inside and out, litter the shelves in the basement. When I was younger, I thought it was silly to have such useless picture books laying around. They didn't even tell a story, so why keep them? Mama explained that one day they'll come in handy, and, well, that day has now arrived. The song of the crickets is beginning to diminish as I double-check the items on the workbench inside the barn. 2 forearm-length thick straps of cloth sit in a pile next to my half-empty bottle of vinegar. A short, girthy stick is tied to the end of one cloth, a testament that I could tie something one-handed. Malformed squares of fabric sit near my cloth strips, and beside this is a bowl full of bran poultice. I wasn't sure how much I'd need, but more is always better, right? It takes me a few tries and a whole lot of words Mama would disapprove of, but I finally managed to tie my tourniquet on my bicep. With a final twist of the stick, I wrap the excess cloth around it, then clamp it between my teeth. I doubt I'd be able to do this without biting down on something. When my fingers feel numb, I know it's time. The weight of the hatchet in my right hand is light compared to the other times I've handled it. Or maybe it is the adrenaline revving up within my veins. My gurgling stomach guides me to the oak workbench. Aged wood snags my skin as I lay my arm down, adjusting myself for the perfect angle. The bulb overhead burns brighter, as if the universe is helping me with my goal. I rest the bit edge of the hatchet lightly against my skin, taking calming breaths. A tiny rivulet of blood slides down my arm to stain the wood below, evidence of how sharp I sanded it. One shot. I have just one. My confidence waves for a moment before I steel myself at the guttural roar of my stomach. I've cut thousands of logs for firewood. This is no different. I raise the hatchet above my head, then slam it down with the strength of God smiting the wicked. The wood of the bench cracks from the force, but otherwise stands true. For a moment, I sit stunned. Then I move into action. Tendrils of the joint of my elbow trail behind me as I pull my arm away from the workbench, leaving the lower half of my arm behind. I don't have time to marvel at the minimal blood loss or my perfect cut. Instead, I douse my new nub with vinegar, and this time I don't feel the sting as the edges bubble and pop. Once I'm satisfied, I dab the area dry before applying layers of my poultice. By the time I place the last cloth over the end of my nub, the sun is peering through the slates in the barn. Like a precious babe, I swaddle my new prize, carrying it inside the house. I set it in the fridge for now, opting to rest before making myself a proper meal. I'm unsure how long I sleep, mere hours or a few days. By the time I rise again, the sun is high above Mama's tiny home, and I am ravenous. My left arm is tender, but otherwise seems fine. The dressing is still in place, and there isn't an odor or blood coming from the wound. My feet pound on the floor as I skip down the hall, humming excitedly to myself. I snag Mama's cookbook from the shelf, thumbing through the yellow pages until I find just the perfect recipe. Simple steak strips with carrots. To prepare your meat, cut 1-inch strips, then salt both sides and set aside. Peel and dice 1 carrot, then set aside. 2 tablespoons of the oil or fat of your choosing. Coat your skillet over high heat. When the pan begins to smoke, lay your strips inside the pan. Cook for 30 seconds, then lower the heat and flip your meat. Add 1 tablespoon of butter or other fat to the pan and allow it to froth. Careful not to burn yourself. Tip the pan up slightly, then use a spoon to splash the melted fat onto your meat strips. Cook for 1 minute, then remove. Turn the heat back up, then add your carrots and cook to desired tenderness. Note: a little sprinkle of garlic or parsley is a great addition. I dust off the chair at the kitchen table and take in my dish. I'm almost afraid to open my mouth, fearing a waterfall will fall from my lips. Taking a moment to let my food rest, I go and grab the crack radio. The old radio station still plays music or reports on world events from time to time. With a few turns on the handle and finessing the dials, I find a station reporting from today's news. They say scientists expect their new meat alternative to hit the shelves for public consumption by August of this year. Alexis Turner, head of the CDC, congratulated her team on Friday, stating the possibilities for sustainable protein is a reality once more. Be sure to tune in next week as I sit down for an interview with Alexis Turner. I turn the radio off, rolling my eyes. Synthetic meat. What a joke. As if I'd poison my body with something like that. Probably has trackers or some way to alter our brains in it. A ripple of unease goes through my body at the thought of trusting our government again. Mama always said never to trust a man or woman in a suit. I bet Alexis sleeps in one. Not wishing to waste another moment longer on thoughts of lab-grown meat, I stab a piece of my steak and pop myself into my mouth. An explosion of flavor turns my world upside down. Like a lion, I pounce, cramming my mouth full to the point of bursting. Blood juice dripples down my chin and onto my shirt in excitement, but I don't mind. The taste of my arm meat is positively divine. In less than 2 minutes, the meat is gone, the carrots forgotten. I pull the plate to my lips, sending carrots tumbling to the floor, and I lick the plate clean. I want more, but I force myself to wait. Instead, I clean up the kitchen, cut a few pieces of arm meat off to save for dinner, and wrap the rest in salt and twine. Then, I head over to see Mama. The shack door bangs open, allowing the afternoon sun to blaze into the small space. Mama sits in the corner, just out of reach of the sun. Her head is tipped back against the wall, her empty eye sockets staring at me as I enter her limestone resting place. Strips of her calf jerky sit next to her, its dark pallor enticing me even though I just ate. I hate to say it, but you were right, Mama. Your medical books did come in handy.
Most heartfelt greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlethems. I eagerly welcome you to Sturgeon's most premier station, Dusklight Radio, hosted by yours truly, the effervescent, ethereal, and immersive Everett J. Blackwell. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out some of our other transmissions. We're adding them regularly, and we'd love to have you as part of the Dusklight family by subscribing, hitting the bell of snakes, and, you guessed it, more snakes, and leave a comment with stories you'd love for my many-legged runners to find. Now, I want to thank all of our patrons for making this possible. If you want to sign up, it's as little as $1 a month, and you get exclusive content, early access videos and stories, updates, and more. But times are tough, and we will always be grateful for support no matter what form it comes in. Financial, spiritual, corporeal, maniacal, whatever you want. It really helps us out. Dusklight gives thanks to our Purple Crayon Eaters, Creature Creations, Kid Kiriyama, Emma, Aiden, Becky Sinani, Rory Shamba, Camilla Roca, Oliver Yourface, Suds, PV69, Desert Bluffs, Justy Blue, Paul J. DeSena, Darkness Within, Christian Hatting, Calculi Zero, Mothman, Orphan Yuka, Okami-san, Ian Hancox, Echo Kane, Gail Alstad, Alex, Candyman Gloving, Ashabel, Phi, Max, and Feeny Von Karma. Our janitors, Isabel Vladislaus, Mima, Razzie Berry Pie, Ryan Moore, Ressery Cardwell, Brianna Elliott, Darktail, Kenza, Oliver Topolugnatale, Alex Hansen, Allie, and a special shout out to someone joining the crew in Art Nightborn. Art spends his nights taking people around Sturgeon in his yellow cab. I guess Art needed extra money, especially in this economy. DJ Muffin, Shane Lewis, Ducks, Joy Flint Healy, Sabiel Eclipse, Death 31, Heather Cayley, Adrian R., Amy, Arkham Cookie, and Alex Nunez. Our Nightmare Detectives, Kikuhime 1202, Halo Davis, Mama Chewy, Melanie S., and Fox Clifford. Our Void Walkers, Domain S. Silvers, Rat Squash, and Professor Creepypasta. Now, you will meet more of our new Blackwell family members in a future upload, but for now, let me run down the list of who we've got. Our new Blackwell members marching their way into town are Sabrina Blackwell, Biggie Blackwell, Aphrodite Blackwell, Wojciech Blackwell, Olivia Blackwell, and Mike Blackwell. You'll learn more about these fascinating new members of our family in an upload very, very soon. Then, of course, there is Great Uncle Ven Blackwell with his forbidden knowledge, Izzy Blackwell, our resident bug devourer, TJ Blackwell, who seems hell-bent on stealing the spot of our janitor supremo and his purple crayon stash, Delira Blackwell, our new resident physician and provider of pestilence pills and poultry, Adela Blackwell's firebending and illusions and grand waffling, Ethan Blackwell, abyssal fisher and repo lord, Jackal Blackwell, head chef and mystery meat purveyor, Clue Blackwell, the chrysalis of unknowable horrors, Tabitha Blackwell, void water baron and forever frenemy to our last entrant, Papa Kyle Blackwell, from his tower of bones, broth, and spines, preparing the outer gods to recognize his claim alongside his hobo queen and little inheritor of the bone throne, who is already 2.5. We love and fear you, Papa. We thank you humbly for your patronage and look to see you bright and early for Dusklight orientation. Purple crayons and existential dread will be provided. And one last time, listeners, close your eyes and breathe with me. Remember, no matter how bad things are, how cruel people can be, and how heavy your shoulders may feel with the weight of the world bearing down on them, Dusklight will always be here to lift the load and provide you with some respite. Drink some hot cocoa with chocolate sprinkles and fat marshmallows. Have all the Christmas candy you can manage, watch a video about liminal spaces and cryptid sightings, and sleep on the cool side of the pillow with the window open and the stars twinkling down on you. Start and end each day with kindness in your heart. You matter, you are loved, and every day is another chance. I'll see you again when the sun sets and dusk enters the station.